said to Abram, "Leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you, and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on earth will be blessed through you." So Abram departed as the Lord had instructed, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all his wealth, his livestock, and all the people he had taken into his household at Haran, and headed for the land of Canaan. When they arrived in Canaan, Abram traveled through the land as far as Shechem. There he set up camp beside the Oak of Moreh. At that time, the area was inhabited by Canaanites. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, "I will give this land to your descendants." And Abram built an altar there and dedicated it to the Lord, who had appeared to him. After that, Abram traveled south and set up camp in the hill country, with Bethel to the west and Ai to the east. There he built another altar and dedicated it to the Lord, and he worshipped the Lord. Then Abram continued traveling south by stages toward the Negev. At that time, a severe famine struck the land of Canaan, forcing Abram to go down to Egypt, where he lived as a foreigner. As he was approaching the border of Egypt, Abram said to his wife Sarai, "Look, you are a very beautiful woman. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife. Let's kill him, then we can have her. So please tell them you are my sister. Then they will spare my life and treat me well because of their interest in you.'" And sure enough, when Abram arrived in Egypt, everyone noticed Sarai's beauty. When the palace officials saw her, they sang her praises to Pharaoh, their king, and Sarai was taken into his palace. Then Pharaoh gave Abram many gifts because of her: sheep, goats, cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. But the Lord sent terrible plagues upon Pharaoh and his household because of Sarai, Abram's wife. So Pharaoh summoned Abram and accused him sharply. "What have you done to me?" he demanded. "Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say, 'She is my sister,' and allow me to take her as my wife? Now then, here is your wife. Take her and get out of here." Pharaoh ordered some of his men to escort them, and he sent Abram out of the country, along with his wife and all his possessions.
Okay, ready to dive into some, well, pretty heavy stuff. We're talking Abraham and Sarah, Genesis 12. You've probably heard about it, right?
Oh, yeah. It's like one of those foundational stories. But there's a lot more to it than meets the eye, I think.
That's what we're here for. So Genesis 12, it's not just some feel-good story about leaving home, It gets kind of raw and real, and that's what makes it so interesting even thousands of years later.
Definitely. Like, how often do you get this mix of, like, huge faith moments, but then also these really human struggles and questionable choices?
Exactly. Right off the bat, Genesis 12, God appears to Abram. Can you imagine? He's 75 at this point. 75.
No kidding. Talk about a late life career change.
And it's not just, hey, think you can move. It's leave everything you know, your land, your people, and go to a place I'll show you.
That's a whole other level of trust. And this is where that whole covenant thing comes in, right? It's not just a command from God. It's God binding himself to Abram, promising these incredible blessings, descendants, a nation.
Whoa. And not just for Abram, for like everyone, right? It says all families on earth will be blessed through him. It's huge. But okay, back to Abram, 75 years old. He just picks up and goes with his wife, Sarai. They journey from Haran to Canaan.
And it's interesting. The text actually names some of the places they stop along the way. Shechem, the Oak of Moreh.
Which you think, okay, maybe just geography. But those details, they actually mean something, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Like, take Shechem. Later on, it becomes super important in the Bible, a place where those covenants we talked about, they get made and renewed. It's like this foreshadowing, and the Oak of Moreh.
Okay, I've always wondered about that one.
Well, think about it. In the ancient world, oaks, they were often seen as, like, sacred symbols of strength, divine presence. So Abram building an altar there, it's not just a rest stop. It's like he's marking this place of connection with God.
Wow. It makes you look at those little details in a whole new way. But then things take a turn, right? They get to Canaan, and boom, famine hits.
And it's not just an idea anymore, it's life or death.
And Abram makes a choice that honestly still sparks debate. He goes to Egypt for food, but to protect himself, he tells Pharaoh that Sarai, his wife,
Is his sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's easy to judge, but you can kind of see his thinking, right? I mean, talk about pressure.
Oh, totally. I mean, he's afraid. He's trying to protect his family. And it reminds us that even these big figures in the Bible, they mess up.
They're human. And the text doesn't let him off the hook either. Pharaoh, he doesn't know Sarai's married to Abram, and bad things happen because of this lie, even though Abram didn't intend for anyone to get hurt.
Right. It's not just some simple lesson about lying being wrong. It gets you thinking about the consequences of our choices, even the ones we make when we're scared or just trying to survive.
Totally. It makes you wonder, like, where's the line between making a mistake and being, a bad person? It's complicated.
And that's what makes it so powerful, right? Genesis 12, it doesn't give you easy answers. It's messy, just like real life is messy.
It really is. And I think that's why, even though it's ancient history, this story still matters. It's about faith, sure, but it's also about being human, making tough calls, and dealing with the fallout. It makes you think, what would I have done?
Yeah. That's a question that everyone has probably asked at some point.
So as we finish up this deep dive, I think we're left with a lot to think about, right? Like, knowing the context, the details, the good and the bad, how does that change how we see these stories? And how does it maybe even change how we view our own choices today?
Big questions.
The best ones. Thanks for diving in with me.